Hello. This is going to be a video containing all of the relevant information that we currently have on just about every aspect of Deceit 2. This is sort of an updated version of this video of mine, which is heavily outdated by now. I will try to lay out all the information as clearly as possible without leaving out anything important, so hopefully y'all find this video helpful. Now before I get into talking about what we know about the game, I want to give a short overview of what Deceit 2 is, in case you aren't too concerned with going deep into the details first, or you're not familiar with this game or its predecessor Deceit 1. Deceit 2 is a new social deduction horror game built in Unreal Engine 5 and should be coming out in 2023 for both PC and consoles. The main premise is that there are 6 to 9 players who wake up in an unfamiliar place. 2 of the group are secretly infected and working towards deceiving and executing the others before they can escape. The infected are tasked with discreetly offering their blood to bring forth the parallel dimension, the in-between. In this dimension, the infected have the ability to transform into a terror, where they will then be able to use their abilities to hunt down and sacrifice innocents. To stop this, the innocents must complete tasks around the map to make progress towards escaping, while keeping a lookout for who might be infected, as when enough people suspect someone, they'll be able to vote them out in a banishing ritual. Due to the sandbox approach to the game, there will be near infinite possibilities for how you can play, with an ever-expanding pool of items, maps, terrors, roles, and so on. If this type of game interests you at all, I recommend wishlisting to help out the devs while making sure you know exactly when the game's coming out. At the time of recording, you are able to wishlist on both Steam and on PlayStation, but it is planned to be on Xbox as well, so there's a chance by the time you may be seeing this, you are able to wishlist it there too. For those of you who are interested in how the game might look visually, the devs have released 3 different official teaser trailer videos showcasing the game over these past few months. The first of these teaser trailers was shown off in a blog post that set a more horror-like tone for the game, and it shows off a voting ritual, the experiment terror, as well as the game master as he oversees his experiment. The second teaser was a much longer trailer focused on the social deduction aspect, as well as other aspects of the game from the view of the players. You can hear some voice acting and visuals of some of the characters, as well as seeing some of the blood offering system for the infected, and another voting ritual. The most recent third trailer was actually presented live at the Streamer Awards. While this was another short teaser that had some of the same clips as the previous one, this one includes the Game Master standing in front of some screens showing Twitch streamers, as it was for the Streamer Awards, and it actually shows some gameplay. While there's not a lot, you can still get the feel of what it might be like in game. In case you might have any questions, they have answered a couple of the more frequently asked ones on their website, starting with what is changing from Deceit 1 to Deceit 2. Deceit 2 is completely built from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5, which is a significant upgrade over the old engine Deceit 1 was built from. There are new monsters, items, abilities, interactive maps, and even more improved systems all around. There is also a different and more expansive lore to the new game that builds upon some of the lore from the original, but it takes it in a brand new direction. With new visuals thanks to Unreal Engine, all of the characters have also gotten an upgrade visually, as well as a lot of the other aspects of the game. Many new items, clues, and abilities have been implemented for you to be able to figure out who's infected, or help you shroud the truth if you are infected yourself. The original game size of 6 also has expanded in the new game to 9 players, and there are 3 new characters added to the cast. When will Deceit 2 release? There are currently details about wishlisting the game with the Steam and PlayStation pages out right now, but there is not currently a release date other than 2023, but that will likely be changing soon. What will happen to the existing game? Deceit 1 isn't going anywhere, and it will be staying up on Steam as a legacy game after Deceit 2 releases. You'll still have all your items and you'll be able to play just fine if you prefer the original. Will I be able to bring my Deceit 1 items to Deceit 2? Unfortunately, not really. The only things that will be transferring to Deceit 2 are the character outfits from the previous Masquerade event, all of your Deceit 1 emblems, and the 6 community-picked legacy outfits that will be awarded based on these certain factors in Deceit 1. And as a note, you don't have to own these outfits to get them in Deceit 2. Depending on what you've achieved, whether that be like ranked items or a certain reputation in the original game, each one of these groups you qualify for, you'll be able to pick a certain outfit in the second game. How can I get involved? You are able to sign up for their mailing list on the website for more info about testing and major updates. You can wishlist the game on your preferred platform, and you can join the Discord where you can have a direct line of communication to the community, give your suggestions, and be informed of any additional information that the devs may release there. Now, before we get into the main part of the video about the specifics of the different aspects of the game, I wanted to go over the smaller pages on their website, the community, and the roadmap pages. These are not completely useless information, but they are not really related much to what the game is itself. The community page is basically an official rules page for how players are meant to act in games. While the game may be based on lying and manipulating each other, and it might get tense at times, there are still rules that games must follow to keep everything nice and fair. You are solely responsible for how you express yourself and for what happens on your account, so be a good person and you won't have much problems. Some of the bannable offenses include, but are not limited to, teaming, griefing, discriminatory behavior or verbal abuse, boosting and account sharing, offensive names, cheating or hacking, and evading your ban on other accounts. While many of these may seem like obvious bannable things, it's nice to have them all laid out officially, as while we do have rules for the original game, they were never made as obvious as they are here. In the short roadmap section, you can see what is planned for the future of Deceit 2, and what has happened in the recent past. It was actually updated very recently with some important information about the upcoming months for Deceit 2. The devs have started a behind the scenes series for deeper insight into the game. They have announced their beta playtest for June, which we should get more info on soon. And lastly, they will be attending TwitchCon Paris this July, in case you are interested and want to check out their booth. I'm sure they will have some interesting things to show off there. In this next part, I will be going over the case files section of the Deceit website. This is where you can find the largest amount of information on the game, whether that be on the maps, the items, the terrors, or even the lore of the game. These are likely to get consistently updated as the game progresses after release. The forum is a very interesting way that they have introduced us to the lore of Deceit 2. This is the fictional Truth Seekers Anonymous forum that the characters of Deceit 2 used before becoming a part of the Game Master's experiments. I won't go over too much here, as it is very extensive and would take a very long time to break everything down, but I do recommend getting into it if you are interested in the lore of the game. Plus, you can find some interesting hidden codes that you can put into Deceit 1 for some rewards. Like, I wonder what this little number here means. The case file of The Ritual shows off the game of Deceit, setting the tone and telling how games will be played. At the top here, there's some info on the Game Master and his background in relation to the Deceit lore. You can find more of this on the forum. The infected, as they go through the game, will offer their blood to the altars, rather than drinking blood like in the first game, and this will bring in the in-between, or the night period. The more blood offered, the faster it comes. And the reality phase is the day phase, where most of the game is played. The characters of Deceit 2 have this implant in their hand that allows them to use a second sight ability to find souls captured in objects. Basically, this just means it allows you to find tasks around the map, and it will give you souls for the item shop. You don't have infinite souls or infinite space in your inventory, so make sure that you choose your items smartly, whether that is picking deduction or combat items as innocent, or picking the items to confuse people as infected. Make sure that you're always paying attention to what is going on around you and what other people are doing. along with collecting deduction items so that you can better deduce who it is. Communication is also very vital to figuring out the infected. Make sure to share info that you have with other players. Trying to solve everything solo is much harder of a task. And if you think you know who it is, try to seek them out wherever they might be hiding, and deal damage to them to start a voting ritual to try and eliminate them by convincing other players to vote as well. The in-between is the night phase where the terrors are going to be able to transform and eliminate innocent players. Players that you see in the in-between are mostly anonymous, with you only being able to hear and see people who are close to you. So you may not be able to tell who in the area is transforming into a terror. These terrors don't take physical damage like shooting or hitting them, so make sure that you use your light items to fight them off and run to safety. As the in-between period goes on, your sanity will start to drain. Run away from or use light items to remove the rift eyes that appear. You can also make use of portals that open up around the in-between, but make sure to use them sparingly as they drain your sanity as well. You can make the decision to hide, but you also may get cornered. Make use of your items and move smart so that you can avoid and evade the terrors. Vaulting and slipping through cracks in the wall are going to be necessary to escape them sometimes. In the in-between, the terrors will chase you down and try to execute you to fulfill their sacrifice. There are also potentially other creatures that we will be seeing in the in-between as the game master chooses what will be happening to you in his rituals. The characters case file gives us a look at the improved original characters as well as the 3 brand new ones. It also gives us a bit of lore as to who they are and what they might be up to in their lives. All of them are a part of the Truth Seekers Anonymous group that ended up landing them in the Game Master's Asylum. Alex is an American journalist always looking for the next big story. He's always getting his hands dirty to get the truth, whether that be digging through movie stars' trash or wiretapping influencers' phones. Lisa is a decorated police officer that's seen too many crimes be unanswered. So she makes sure that the discoveries of the TSA makes their way into the legal system secretly to not let her superiors know that she's involved in an online vigilante group. Chang was previously a junior boxing champion who occasionally followed his coach's instruction to throw his fights in favor of gambling rigging. Now running security for the same gambling ring, he joined the TSA and passes down information he hears at his job. Rachel is a senior account executive that always manages to excel at her job. Her bosses don't know that her success comes from blackmail and social media engineering. She solves crimes with the TSA as a hobby of hers. Hans is a humble hospital orderly with no friends or family, though the extent of data privacy that he goes through would take talent that many people acquire in top secret military operations. He would never tell if he was, but the TSA members think he may have a suspicious amount of knowledge of bombs and chemical weapons. Nina is a Japanese student who loves architecture. She was accepted into a British university, though rumors came to light that her billionaire father used his wealth to get her in, despite her grades. She was quickly shunned and ended up joining the TSA and funnels her father's money to fund their activities. Priya is a kind and gentle pharmacist that loves to help people. Her job quickly went bad when she found out how many people couldn't get the medication they need. She doesn't like breaking the law, but she might look the other way when someone doesn't have the right documents or enough money. She knows that she's doing the right thing, and continued that by helping the TSA decipher things like drugs on coroner's reports using her medical knowledge. Jack has always been a charming guy, always having a way with people. Working at a luxury perfume counter, he's been offered and accepted many dates for money. He just has to make sure his acquaintances never find out about each other. He tends to relay the many scandalous rumors that he hears to the TSA. Beck was always a talented artist, but they'd have a hard time getting work. They got hired for a restoration contract once, and didn't realize it was really for creating forgeries for rich buyers. And after enough times, they've eventually become complicit. Their experience in things like making fake IDs have helped the TSA on many occasions. This case file also includes a part about the experiment terror, which is the original terrors from Deceit. Its new look is huge. It has sharp talon-like fingers and skin that looks scaly and slimy. More creatures that the infected can transform into will come with time as the game progresses. The maps case file focuses on the only current map in Deceit 2, as well as showing what you will be doing across the maps in your games when it comes down to it. There is currently only one map for Deceit 2's release, the Millhaven Asylum. Lore-wise, this is where the events of the Game Master's past happened, and after the Truth Seekers investigated, they all mysteriously went missing. In each of the maps going forward though, they will have similarities in interactions and the mechanics that tie them together. Souls that have been damned to the in-between hide themselves across the map. Collecting them by doing tasks allows you to trade them to the peddler in exchange for the items that you want, including the key to escaping. Each map will have interactive points of interest that will help you out throughout the game. Things like a chalkboard that anyone can write on, or a speaker system that people can use to have people hear each other across the map. Every map is going to have interactive elements like cracks in the walls that you can crawl through, or low walls to vault over. Terrors can even break apart weak walls to make their way to innocence. There will be many ways to move across the maps like this. The roles case file is an interesting look at the original innocent and infected roles and what they're going to be tasked with doing, but it also gives a sneak peek to potential alternate roles that will make their way into the game. Innocents have the majority of the players in games. They are tasked with exchanging souls for items, working towards getting the escape key, and breaking free of the Game Master's ritual. The infected are the small group of people in matches tasked with offering blood and sacrificing innocents to appease the Game Master. Manipulation and deceit is key for the infected to win. There will also be extra secret roles that are given to players as well, like the healer who can pick a person in the reality phase to save before they are executed in the in-between. Finally here we have the items case file. This gives you insight as to what types of items you'll be able to use in your games, and how you would go about obtaining such items. The peddler is used by the Game Master in his rituals to equip his captives with items to empower the ritual. This is the in-game system of how you get your items. Previously, you would go to a box that had a specific item in it and complete the objective. Now you can complete any objective and collect souls, and then use those souls to trade for a pick at the peddler's selection of items. There is a vast assortment of items with many different uses, with even more to come after release. Deduction items might include a clipboard with bits of information on other players, and bits of information on the infected. You can then use it to cross-reference with other people's information on their clipboards to narrow down who is infected. There is a tracker which will show you where people are on the map, a number which you can use to help unlock the inspection machine, CCTV tablet that allows you to watch through cameras, and a blood alarm that will alert you if an infected offers their blood near it. Utility items include things like an invisibility cloak that you can use to hide with, the mask which allows you to turn yourself into another character, handcuffs and the ball and chain will prevent players from interacting with things and prevent them from moving respectively, a return pad that allows you to teleport across the map to wherever you placed it, hammer to repair broken cracks around the map, as well as a smoke grenade that lets off a large amount of smoke. Combat items like the pistol are also in the shop, which allow you to deal damage and down players. Bandages will allow you to heal any damage you might have taken. A torch or camera will help fight the creatures of the in-between. A sanity serum will keep you on your toes while you're there, as well as knuckle dusters that pack a bit more punch. There's then the ultimate item, the escape key. This you'll be able to unlock once everyone collects enough souls throughout the game, which then you'll be able to use on escape door, assuming that you do make it there alive. Now, while those case files were pretty packed with information on the game, there's a select bit of information that I've found throughout their developer blog post to add on even more to that. I will not be going over the entire blog post as there are so many of them, but I will pick out the information that I thought was important enough to show that already wasn't in the case files before. In the Building Deceit 2 blog post, we learned that the voice chat will be proximity based, which is a pretty big change considering we had map-wide voice chat in Deceit 1. In the 2023 Q&A blog post, we learned that there's going to be multiple different regions that you can queue up from on launch in order to minimize ping, which is potentially going to be different than Deceit 1 server selection as you can only select a language, not a location. They are also planning on having Steam Deck and GeForce Now compatibility potentially after launch, but the PlayStation and Xbox version should be available on launch. They also plan on reworking some of the original Deceit 1 maps and terras as DLC in the future after release, and this is elaborated on further in a later blog post, as well as more frequent DLC releases than Deceit 1, which to put in perspective, we had 3 different DLC terrors in the about 6 years from whenever Deceit 1 started. On release, it will just be the Asylum map and the Experiment terror though. The cost has also not yet been announced, but they are committed to it being low cost, so you can expect it won't be too expensive. In the blog post that they have released about tasks, they show off a bit of their objective system. As you go through the maps of Deceit 2, you will come across many haunted objects that you will need to release the souls from. These are going to be your objectives or your tasks that you need to complete as you play through games. Each map is planned to have different tasks that are themed for each specific map. Some of the unique objectives in the Asylum that you can complete for these souls include squishing cockroaches in the kitchen, checkmating on a chessboard in the rec room, turning off sink taps in the right order or flushing some toilets in the bathroom, finding the missing toy that belongs to a creepy painting in the dormitory, or even playing a game of cards in the security room. As for their blog post about metasystems and progression, there are currently 4 categories of unlocks that can be expected for Deceit 2. These include items that you will unlock fairly rapidly, terror mutations that allow them to react to unique situations that are different than normal, different roles that are randomized at the start of the game, and cool looking cosmetics and outfits, which will be linked to in-game events to make them feel like part of the world and not just a scattering of random ideas. Tokens are again going to be one of the main in-game currencies, and they will be awarded to you based on what you've done throughout the match, whether that be completing tasks or interacting with points of interest, or even voting out an infected player. The loot booth will also be returning to use these tokens on, which will have quite a lot of unlocks on release. They've also showed off their update schedule, which include minor, medium, and major updates. Minor updates are going to be bi-weekly, and they're going to have bug fixes, balance changes, quality of life changes, and even more custom options for the lobbies. Medium updates are going to be more unlock focused with new items, roles, and cosmetics every month. And major updates are going to happen every 3 months or so with a big story-based event with a new map and or terror each time. They also showed off 2 of the new terror concepts for these releases, and they are updated versions of familiar terrors from Deceit. This is going to be the Werewolf Terror's new look in Deceit 2, and this is the Vampire Terror's new look in Deceit 2. And even more unique terror concepts are going to be coming in the months after release as well. Finally, we have the roadmap to beta blog post. In this most recent blog post, we got a lot of information about what will be happening in the coming months in the form of a video straight from the devs. I recommend watching it yourself, but I will sum it up here. One of the main things being the announcement of the beta test that will be coming this June. They should be sending out more invites soon for that. And while the lore of the game has been kinda stagnant for the past few months with no new additions, they are actually working on multiple projects that will expand the lore for any Deceit 2 lore enjoyers. Lastly, they explained that we'll be taking questions for a Q&A video releasing next month, and depending on when this video is released, you may already be able to join the Discord and share any questions that you may have for the devs to answer in that video. Well, that just about does it for this video. I've spent a very long time working on this, and I hope that it helps a lot of people get the information that they have been looking for in concerns to Deceit 2. If you like the content and are interested in more videos like this, I recommend subscribing. I make mostly Deceit content and will guaranteed be making videos for Deceit 2 whenever the time comes for that. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed.